right, we're back. You got the first break. Hey, Miss Santa doing a good job over there. Great panel job today. No opening read. Who are you? You look vaguely familiar. I haven't seen you in a long time. Where you been?
Avoiding you.
No, Joel Mowbray, syndicated columnist. Next to Joel, special guest, Jason Pomerantz, entrepreneur behind the Thompson Hotels Group. But hotels, restaurants, and clubs too, sir?
Correct.
We're going to get to it in a second. Dani Babb next to us, back from the West Coast, right, Dani?
Right. Also, I was hanging out with him.
Yeah.
And avoiding you.
You were telling you're telling people that, you know, we're lying.
I'm just kidding.
We're not a break. Jimmy Awad, Jim, where am I? Jim, Managing Director, Zephyr Management.
And not avoiding you.
Not avoiding you. No, doing a good job, Jim. All over the network, I see you everywhere.
Well, a lot of Fox.
A lot of Fox. That's
all that matters.
Proud to do so.
Just touch on it real quick. Down 121 right now for the first time. We're down 11 yesterday. Down 11 or up 11?
Down 11
yesterday. It's been a really, really strong market, though. 10,305. Jason,
Yes,
know
sir.
a lot about you, my friend.
A little bit.
I probably spent a lot of money in some of your restaurants, hotels, and clubs. A good friend of mine, Steve Hansen, runs a similar gig, right? Tell me about the state of the. Can I call it boutique hotel business?
That's sort of a general term that's thrown around, and we in the industry sort of don't like it a little bit because it's become to mean, you know, sort of anything that is a non-chain, non-flag type of hotel. So we kind of specify a little bit and look at it more as small luxury, lifestyle driven. So depending on the project, we call it different things, but you know, we can call it boutique.
What do you have?
What
are your properties under your management right now? Or under your
Our
ownership?
company currently owns and operates 9 different hotels, 5 of which are in New York City.
Named?
The 60 Thompson, the Smith in Tribeca, the Thompson LES in the Lower East Side, which is a great emerging area in New York City, Guildhall down in the Financial District, and 6 Columbus up right by here on 58th Street on Columbus Circle. We also do 2 hotels in Los Angeles, the
Named?
Thompson Beverly Hills, the Roosevelt in Hollywood, which is an iconic place.
That's the big one, right?
It is. And we are very, very excited to have recently opened a hotel in Washington, D.C. called the Donovan House. And we're going to be taking over a hotel in Chicago next month, which I sort of a secret, and we'll reveal to you guys first.
All right, good. What about restaurants? Restaurants separate from the hotels or all in?
Well, we
hotels?
also run a company called the Do Not Disturb Restaurant and Entertainment Group, which effectively runs bars and restaurants within our facilities. Shang Restaurant on the Lower East Side with a wonderful chef named Susu Lee. We run Teddy's in Los Angeles, which is an iconic
Tough business,
club.
though, right, Jason?
It's a tough business, you know, but I think we are excited, and when you put out a good, solid product that, you know, can sort of ride the times that aren't necessarily economically oriented, and
thank you for leading into the next
really
question. Are you riding with the times? I mean, the market. I mean, the stock market's been pummeled. Unemployment's 15.7 million people looking for jobs. Real estate prices are down. People are hunkering down. Are they still spending money in the hotels and the restaurants?
Well, look, I think you have to adapt with the times to a certain degree. People will ultimately always need a bit of distraction and a certain degree of lifestyle enhancement. And I think a very, very core part of that is travel and entertainment. And I think what they're looking for is, yes, they are more conscious of price. They are more conscious of exorbitance. But I think they are still looking to, you know, make an example, first of all, about the way they live, and that they're not going to take a bunker-like mentality and say, okay, stay home.
But did you lower your prices?
I think there was a time, the cycle that, through this economic cycle that has sort of gone, the hospitality industry is usually the first thing that gets whacked when, you know, you get hit. And it's also usually the first thing to recover. So last January, February, the industry took a real hard hit and probably dropped about 25-30%. And our company, along with that, to the most degree. Some locations varied a little bit, but
did you lower room prices?
We lowered room prices about
prices
that 25%. And
you did?
We did. And the key thing to look at in that, in kind of the economic model for a hotel, is RevPAR, revenue per available room. And really, the rates are a misleading kind of number a lot, and people say the rates here are 500, the rates, because it's really the combination of rate and occupancy that shows the success and the profitability of whatever's going on in the industry. So RevPAR in our particular, you know, facilities dropped a certain amount. We did better than the industry at large, thankfully, because our product is different.
It's a little wonky, and Jimmy, you might want to jump in on the RevPAR. Most people who are on the street watch RevPAR very closely. I don't know the answer to this. Do you include the restaurants in the hotel into your RevPAR number?
No. It's a room. It's a
straight
room.
room.
It's a straight
It's a
hotel
room's
metric.
number.
But let me ask you, I have a friend of somebody you might know, Henry
Yeah.
Callan, who
I
owns,
do,
okay,
yes.
he's a very good friend, owns a series of hotels around the city. He tells me his business is booming because of the dollar being
Well,
down.
now we
and
get to the
foreign
good
visitors.
part of it. Is that
Right.
during the summer, then all of a sudden occupancy was very, very strong. So that means demand was back, but people were looking for value-conscious products. So they were scouring the internet, all the different travel sites, your own site, to see what the best deal they could get within a sector was. And everybody followed suit. And $20, $30 or 10 to 25% in rate variation would take someone that you would very brand loyal prior to that, to a Four Seasons or a St. Regis, and send them somewhere else. And and everybody was kind of fighting that game.
Where do you fall in that revenue and that price
Spectrum.
point? Where are you? Are you below four? I mean, some of them, you go to Miami, you go to the Delano. I would consider that kind of
Sure.
in the same
Absolutely.
realm. I mean, they're of the highest price rooms.
They are, and I think that our sector and our competitive group within our sector kind of bucks the trend of what everyone else related to entertainment and fashion industries and the
Jay,
stock
let me
market.
stop you there. You said rates spiked, so you're moving your rate depending on how many reservations you get.
Well, it's almost like an airline model. The way you run a hotel, you use a process called yield management effectively. And, it is a direct correlation between demand and, so there's an intersection of where you're maximizing your efficiency, where you have the right rate and the right occupancy level. We try in our places, which are mostly under 150 rooms besides the Roosevelt, to be sold out all the time. There should never be an empty room. So obviously we want to sell at the highest price we possibly can in those rooms, but an empty room is just a dirty word in our company. And I think that, we've pretty much approached that in a good way.
Go ahead, Danny.
What about length of stay? I mean, how has that changed over the past year? You're seeing people still go, but maybe stay for a short amount
Slightly
of time?
shorter, because what's happening now is, while rates have gone up and occupancy is strong, the booking window is shorter. So what's happening is, for instance, if you know that you'll be traveling to Chicago, you're going to wait till the last minute to see what kind of the best deal you get is. So where you would book 6 weeks out, maybe in 2006, you're booking between 3 and 1 week out right now. And then maybe you would tag on, particularly in certain cities like New York and Los Angeles, an extra day or two on either end for shopping, leisure activities. They're a little bit more disciplined about that now. Now we're hoping, as we go into the holiday season, that people will take that extra indulgence and add that extra day on. And in certain markets, as you go into market weeks like Fashion Week in New York City, award season in LA, that they will do that as well. So we are optimistic.
Did you were you able to give more flexibility to your staff or discretion as far as rates with loyal customers, for example, to match what they might get at different hotels?
To a degree, but I think that would really be with real loyal customers. And I think when, the good part of staying in a small hotel that has an intimate kind of service level,
Right,
where you have that personalization, is that someone will come back to us and say, listen, I like you guys, but your competitor is offering me 10% less than you. Would you like to match it because I want to stay with you? And I think during the lean times, that's what gets you through. And that's a really good mark of
Swisher, Tampa Bay says, wow, thanks for having Thompson here today. I was looking for something different in New York City. On my New York City visits, I'll try his product. So which one would you recommend to Mr. Swisher? Any of them, I know.
Any of them. But what's Mr. Swisher's demographic? How old?
85.
No,
Kidding you.
85?
You don't know that.
I'm teasing, brother.
40.
I'm teasing
You
you.
don't
He
know
says
that.
he claims to have his own private plane, so charge him as much as you
There we
possibly
go.
can. All
And
right?
how about the restaurants? Are they
This is
recovering
Bill.
with the hotels?
The restaurants are recovering. However, you're looking again for value add. As opposed to cutting prices, people are looking for, kind of an added experience for what they're getting. And they are to a degree.
All right, listen,
Well,
Bill,
in
hold on.
LA, the Thompson and the Roosevelt are known for their pool parties on the weekends.
Right.
Listen,
So
I
that's
know the
value
Roosevelt. I
add
didn't know the
experience.
Thompson was as well. But let's start.
You
let's
can
make
tell the
this,
paparazzi
all right, we got
photos.
that. We got the business part out of the way. Now let's have some fun here. All right. Celebrities. What are they like? Did they pay full price, or you let them in free?
No, absolutely. Celebrities are some of our most loyal clientele. We love them, but I think one of our mottos is we treat rock stars like they're regular people and regular people like they're rock stars. And I think that's what
Who's the
appeal to our
one
brand.
you don't want to show up at one of your hotels in LA?
That's a good question.
If Britney shows up, or
The reality is in this sector, and particularly in LA, it's just part of the fact of life. And it's amazing what goes on every day, but I think the celebrities have become used to it, and as have the guests, and it's just part of. We
Jason,
are very good at
don't you
protecting
want that
privacy.
picture of
Britney's
Winona
abs.
Ryder stealing the pen off the the desk or something? I mean, you want that, right? With your big logo right behind it.
Never made it
I
come
think
back.
we like to keep. I think some of the allure in the long run of some of our places is it's not what people find out. It's what they think is really going on.
Yeah, right.
They don't know about, and that air of
Probably
Going in
mystery
their
way,
head.
most of the things they think is going on probably is.
probably is, and actually probably more. But
Dani Babb.
nevertheless, it's exciting.
Have you stayed
Yeah.
at any of the hotels?
I have not.
I've been
I
to the
have not
Roosevelt's
stayed.
and it's
Yeah, I
great.
need to check that one
It's
out.
great.
That one's been
Thompson's
recommended to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. So listen, feel free to jump in here on any of these other topics. We'll do a little business. We'll do a little politics. Hold on, Swisher, CEO of Swisher Co. Oh, I got you. Swisher emails back. He says the Marriott beds are killer comfort, but I'll try Thompson in New York City.
Absolutely.
In the next time. See, notice he signs this one, CEO of Swisher Co. All right, guys. So a lot on the docket. You know what? We have to do a break. Let me throw the second FedEx break. If you guys are back there ready for it, let's go. All right, we're back. We have Jason Pomerantz. He's a hotelier. Did I say that right? Hotelier.
Yes.
Wow.
Best friends, Joe.
Yeah.
Jay, just jump in here on any of these topics. But I want to talk a little bit about the healthcare bill, if you guys don't mind. 2,074 pages, going to cost $849 billion, and they're going to pay for it, Jim and Joel and Danny and Jason. They're going to pay for it by
Selling books that are 2,000 pages long.
taxing. You're gonna get a jump of about $365 billion in tax increases and $465 billion in Medicare cuts.
Yes. And co-insurance.
Oh, no, hang
so you'll
on,
get to
hang
pay
on.
10 or 20% of your medical bill instead of $10 or $20.
Yeah,
and small businesses are going to be taxed around 45%, whereas Fortune 500's about 35%.
Hang on. We're all lying here when we parrot
Is that
the
a mullet,
numbers
Joel?
from the government. What are you talking?
I'm
There
just
is.
repeating. Bernie Buckle wants to know if it's a mullet.
You know Bernie Buckle?
Go
Okay.
ahead. Sorry.
There is
Sorry to
no
interrupt.
mullet. My hair is
Are
as
mullets
short as
in on the
yours.
West Coast, Jason?
Everything's in on the West Coast.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry,
Thank you,
just-
Jason. But I don't,
Not mullet.
You're so
Come on.
PC. It's
you have
unbelievable
more-
how PC he is.
You have more of a mullet than I do.
I doubt it. Go.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is we're all lying as long as we parrot the government's numbers, the CBO numbers on the Reid healthcare bill. The $200 billion in savings from cutting doctors' fees, guess what's going to happen? There's a separate bill, actually $250 billion, that they're passing out of general revenues to make up for that lost money or the saved money in the healthcare bill. So the actual cost is really at least $250 billion higher just on that.
Without counting the states. The
Without
states,
counting the states.
a lot of stuff now
Yeah.
gets downloaded on the states. And what's interesting
Ultimately,
is
we're
no
talking more like
business
$2
is
trillion.
like this.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
wealth redistribution, which you can argue is good or bad, depending on where you're coming from. But let's call it what it is. That what you're doing is evening out healthcare at a higher cost to the capital sector and anybody above the median income in the country. And it may or may not make healthcare better, but it's going to hurt the economy.
Where is the mullet? Hey, Joel, where's the mullet? Eric, have a great vacation. Danny, hello from your Facebook friend,
Hi.
Glenn in Sacramento.
How does
Hi,
this
Glenn.
thing take on a life of
Hey,
its own?
FedEx
Yeah.
at a
Was
FedEx
no
break.
mullet is no mullet.
Well, I
Hi
don't get
from
this, Rob.
Facebook.
What's hey FedEx at a FedEx break? I'm not really sure what that
What?
means. Let us know. We have a FedEx
He wants
break.
to
FedEx.
FedEx. He wants you to FedEx in a strategy room. I heard.
No, guys. No, not you, Rob. Oh, is that you? Are you Rob Bowers? Oh, well, Rob was telling us that we had a FedEx at a FedEx break. We know that, dude. That's why it's called the FedEx
FedEx
break.
break.
All right, anyway, so
5.5 million jobs. Obama's own economic council says 5.5 million jobs could be lost as a result of this, mostly in the small business sector. 30%
as a result of healthcare?
of healthcare. We already know that 30% of Americans are employed by companies that
Hey,
have fewer than 100 employees.
How many employees do you have, Jay?
Well, depending on all the ancillary spaces, restaurants and bars, as well as the hotels, we average about 200 per property. So
is
it's about 1,800.
1,800. Okay, what
employees.
about, have you had to cut back?
We've not really had to cut back, thankfully, because we run a pretty efficient operation on the line staff, and we run a tight operation in the corporate office. I'm out there working every day, just like the rest of my team. So
But have
thankfully,
you analyzed the
we've been
healthcare
back.
bill? What it'll do your business?
We have a bit, and my big problem with the healthcare bill is more it's a philosophical issue about how we're paying for it, and I'm going to give you, I think, veering into incentivizing businesses to create additional revenue versus taxing what they're doing right now and forcing their hand. I'll give you a perfect example of an empowerment zone concept that actually facilitated one of our recent developments. Through this empowerment zone in a district in New York City where they wanted to generate additional tax revenue. This particular one was a state project, but it could be a federal one just as easily. It facilitated because what would be an $800,000 a year tax credit to the facility that we were creating, all of a sudden underwrote the construction costs and the financing of the project and created 200 additional jobs in that neighborhood. All the additional, tax revenue that comes from the 18% that comes from the different tourist tax as well as the restaurant taxes. Now, there's no reason at all that in places like Compton, in places like the South Bronx, where manufacturing is an issue. Hotels are a different situation, where you create jobs, where you have employees, where you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of employees, where the government can effectively generate this revenue, create the new jobs, and would have an easier time of paying for a big chunk of that healthcare bill as opposed to just doing a straight tax.
Where in New York was this?
This was actually on the Lower East Side. And this is
really?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
but that's not 60 Thompson. That's
empowerment is not on this administration's
I understand.
It's a great platform for
Allow me to stay with your business here real quick, Jason, since we have you. I'm guessing you don't give everyone health care.
We give pretty much every
even the people who are cleaning their rooms?
Absolutely.
All of them? All your employees?
Will they meet the new minimum standard required by the government?
Our program actually, it's in a competitive environment, will probably exceed that because because we run with packages and we competitively bid every year. But our package actually probably is richer than that.
That's a big concern for a lot of small businesses.
But however, we work in a luxury industry, so we can afford to do that. Right. So we pay people over minimum wage, and we don't have the issues that the small businesses that you're talking about are going to have.
Are your workers unionized?
They are predominantly not, but in certain facilities they are to a degree.
Certain facilities, not certain
It's by location. It's by location and by job. It's a little bit different in Manhattan. Our standards, our wage as well as our healthcare provisions are actually better than what the union rules require for us to be. So it's not an issue for us particularly. But in the other sectors of our industry, with the lower end hospitality, you're talking about lower rate facilities, airport facilities, which we also own 3 of. It's a bit of a different game because the wage structure
right here. Dan wants to know would Joel's mullet like to give a rebuttal.
There's no mullet, guys. I can see it. Trust me.
I don't know. I think
in
there
the
is.
Front,
I bet
more
there's
than the front.
a giant news story tomorrow that will distract everyone over the weekend while they vote on this bill, Glenn in Sacramento. They're going to have a few hours to read it first. I mean, it's 2,074 pages.
But when you combine the cost of healthcare with the lack of credit for small businesses, I think 2010 could be a very tough year for small business in this country.
It'd be a disaster for small businesses.
And 11, because the healthcare lays in.
What angers me the most is that no one seems to talk about just how flawed the accounting is. Best case projections, Eric, are that the new government health insurance program and the entire system will be set up by 2013. So we're talking 6 years of costs to reach almost $1 trillion. That's not counting the $250 billion of taking out payments to doctors that they're going to have in a separate bill to give the money back to doctors so doctors will support.
But will those separate bills ever pass? I mean, the real flaw in this is
the $250 billion
down the road when they say we're going to cut payments to doctors, we're going to cut Medicaid.
Here's the problem.
They're going to vote those down.
Look, even Democrats understand that market forces can be a bitch because if I don't know who's laughing out there, but it's true.
No, I was just looking at the time.
So look, doctors, if they're getting well below market rates, what they could get to do something else, because the med-mal is already high, they'll go somewhere else. If you don't have doctors, you don't have a healthcare system.
Yeah, I saw that happen in Venezuela.
What happens to the medical profession as a result of this? Do the great talents and the great minds that would normally go into medicine now go into other fields because it's too hard to do that?
IT, green energy.
Politics.
Yeah.
Right. That's really maybe. Let's switch gears a little bit. How about real estate, Danny? You're the guru on the panel.
Numbers came out. Actually, there was a Zillow report that came out about 10 minutes before we went live here that sales from last month to this month stayed pretty much the same. Prices are down about 11% year over year.
Of what?
Compared to this time last year.
Existing, new?
Existing real estate, existing homes, not new. New construction's up about 3%, which is not good for the market. We do not need more inventory.
But inventory levels were dropping, right?
Inventory levels were dropping for a bit. We know that 4 states, Illinois, Michigan, California, and Florida, make up 50% of the foreclosures. Foreclosures are up about 13% from this time last year.
Prices again, give us prices.
And prices are down 11% from this time last year.
From last year, what about month over month?
Month over month, a 5% decline.
Do you buying any properties? Do you buy? I mean,
we do both.
Yeah.
And this is actually one of the most aggressive times to look to buy properties. But the problem is that usually the way we buy property is a combination of debt and leverage. The problem is the debt market.
Exactly, the credit markets. There's no money to get them.
So the equity markets have all the power, which is fine, but it's a much slower flow of product. And companies like mine, which in the hotel world is effectively still a small company, can't go out there and compete effectively against the bigger companies that have big cash reserves and can go in and buy. And what's happening is...
So you're seeing properties you'd like to own, but you can't get the
power. But what's happening is by putting that power into the larger companies and the public companies and some of the smaller equity funds, is that the price leveling of all the real estate, whether it be raw land that for future development or existing product, is going through the floor because there's no
one has.
On the other side of that, the private equity real estate distressed firms are having a field day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They'll make more money in the next 3 years than they have in.
Yeah,
if they have the cash.
I have friends in that business in South Florida looking at 30 to 38% rate of return, and they are charging for commercial real estate deals 25% interest,
which is absolutely
and people are jumping on it because they're saying, you know what, I'm still going to earn, I'm still going to make money in the long run. But it's crazy.
If you go onto Wall Street, one of the conversations you still haven't heard percolating out through the rest of society is that there is a real disagreement on equity.
Time out. Forget the mullet. Why does he drink coffee with a straw? Ken in Texas. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what? No, hang on. I am not British, nor do I ever intend to look British.
What is that flag you have on you?
I have a U.S. and Israel flag. So I will never allow all the dark coffee that I drink to be hitting my teeth every day.
You're tough. You're tough.
I am brilliant.
Go ahead, Joel. Stop the fear-mongering. Healthcare will pass. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, look. Here's what we have.
Your blood pressure
on Wall Street,
you
have the stock guys who are thinking strong a market. They're bullish, and the bond guys and the gold people are all saying, whoa, things are going to crater soon. And so somebody's got to be right. Somebody's got to be wrong.
I have a theory.
Both of these going on.
I have a theory.
Still buying gold.
And the theory is that the market is being driven by 2 factors. Number one,
what market, Joel?
The equity markets.
Okay, so
by the hedge funds who want to blow through their high water mark of 07 so that they can start making money again if they're able to make money so they can get paid. And secondly, that apparently there are these huge quant funds out there that basically follow whatever momentum that there is, and they are the ones that push the market below where it should have been in March, and in many cases are selling the dollar, buying gold equities.
Do you agree with Joel that one's got to give? I mean, you have a stock market that's up 70% in the Nasdaq, 60% in the S&P, and we're at 15.7 million people out of work, and home prices aren't.
Ultimately, in the long run, markets are rational.
But which one is irrational right now? Are they both
I think
irrational?
The stock market's irrational.
I would agree.
Well, no, you would agree that, or would you think that real estate's going to turn around soon?
No, I don't think. Oh, hell no. Real estate's not turning around. Real estate's
not turning around. Stock market's overvalued.
Can we ask the person who actually works for a living, who makes money real money for a living?
Hello.
What does this mean as a business?
Hey, it means that effectively.
I'm not going to be offended.
Nor me. Go right ahead.
Ask my students if I work for a living.
Joel, what are you doing from now on since you won't be on Strategy Room anymore? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, you and I are together now.
What's your opinion?
The problem is that the bailout plans that were implemented by the government effectively created this situation. So exactly what they were trying to fix the problem before of the wealth of this country being concentrated in the hands of a very few is the exact opposite. So by doing the bailouts the way they did, effectively these companies are manipulating, controlling the stock market, the equity markets. They'll be the biggest bonus year in Wall Street history because of the way they structured, their instead of payouts in cash and stock, but nevertheless, it's still the biggest bonus year in history. So therefore, the luxury spender will go back. The high-end condominiums, the car